What's going on, everyone? Vampyr Gaming here, and before we begin, if you could just do me a favor, if you're going to shop TCGPlayer, if you can just click this link right here in the YouTube video description to pick up any of these cards. I'll take a TCGPlayer with my link and help support the channel on singles you'll already be buying. Let's go ahead and dive in. Today we're going to be talking about OP07 meta. We'll start off with the decks like Lucci, Gecko, Red Purple Law, and then we'll also kind of talk about some of the cards that I just kind of have my eyes on. We're also going to talk about one card that I think is severely undervalued just because of what the regular one has done. But let's go ahead and dive in. So first up, I just want to talk about Sabo. So this one's fake. It's a fake listing, but Sabo's sitting at around $18, $19. This card was at peak almost 30-ish for a minute. This card is a super key card to this upcoming format, just because if you're not playing Red Purple Law, you're playing a black deck. To some degree, Luffy, Gecko, and Lucci, all you're going to want to play at least 3 copies of this card because it can prevent your opponent from destroying your characters, and Red Purple Law is the only one that's going to bottom deck stuff. So I think this card kind of saw a big spike, and then maybe it's because they've been pushing out more OP04 in the Bandai stores, but I think at $18, $19, $20, I've held mine. I bought some at 10s and like 8s and thought they were undervalued, and so I think this card is just going to continue to go up as more people need these for Lucci in the coming month. I could be wrong, but if you don't have these and you want to play one of those decks at 18 bucks, I don't think you can go wrong. I highly recommend picking up your set. Same thing here with the alt. The alt was up quite a bit. It's still semi-costly, but it's more reasonable now. I remember when this card had hit it was like 80-ish, I think, at some point. But it's very nice. Looks really good. I would probably pick up another one at 50, just because I'm like, I want more than one. And then, of course, I think this is a phenomenal pickup at 160 because it seems like we're not going to be doing any more of these. I know like the One Piece stores did like one of these a week type vibe for these events for a bit. I don't know if they're still doing them, but at 160, I love this. I picked one up for 200. I would love to pick up another one if I had the funds, and I love seeing people play those. Another card that's gone up, I was finally getting into the range where I would consider picking one up, and he's right back to just out of my range, and I'll just never own this card. Smoker. You know, old Uncle Smokey. Chief Keef himself. This card is going up. It's $90. Presumably there is the Smoker deck. There's been a couple reveals. I don't think there's anything in there super phenomenal aside from the Tashigi so far. So TBD if he actually gets good, but you can kind of feel the hype. Maybe if you've been holding yours and you didn't like it at around 65, maybe consider getting rid of it. But now let's talk about this card, okay? So you can kind of see he stayed in the $30 range, even went down to 25. I've picked up 3 of these. I was waiting to mention this card. Also, my bad for not having any of the market watches for a bit. Those kind of had fallen off, and I'm getting right back to the content that you all love. So here we are. But yeah, Brooke, Bone Daddy himself, $32. But see, the thing is, okay, we're going to look at this. I called this out on my Twitter account for $2. I was like, you're going to want this card. It already has taken favoritism in the Sakazuki list, and you're going to want to play this for sure in Lucci. I don't think it's necessary in Gecko, but I do know a lot of people like it. And somebody had topped the first EBO1 event with Brooks in their Gecko list. I've tested it out at 2. You know, it's not bad. It is just extra removal. Really good in Kiros too, but $9. This card was $2. It goes up to $11. This card was $30. It goes up to $30. This card hasn't moved at all, and a lot of people like to play max rarity or higher rarity cards, and you can kind of see there's not a ton, and the biggest thing on this for me is the extra booster collection isn't inherently worth a lot of money. The best cards in it are Bond Clay and this, arguably, aside from the alt Bond Clay. And Bond Clay hasn't been seeing a ton of play in OP08. So the value of the booster boxes has to come from somewhere, and so I think the value is going to shift to this Brooke. That's my thought, and that's why I've picked some up. And then we've got T-Bone. Again, like the EBO1 isn't really worth opening. Even though it's a 3-hit box, you're probably going to neg. And on that, it just feels like some things are just slightly underpriced. And this is like an alt that you play. Maybe it's just played in Sakazuki, but like in anything where you want a navy, this card could be relevant. And it's only $8 for an alt. 2K. Now, is it worth it? I think at this it's a pretty safe price, because again, I think it's really just Sokka that's playing it, and Sokka's about to fall off, so you can kind of see like it's slowly been trailing down. Maybe once Sokka's fully banned might be a time to pick this up, but I don't think it's a bad card to have. And then of course, so Lucci and Gecko, with the banning of Great Eruption, you're essentially going to want to play this and Hina. So this is why I've included this, because it is only $3. But you can kind of see, I think this has the potential to go up because it is OPO5. It's been a little bit. By the time it'll have been 2 sets. And OPO5, again, just inherently expensive to open for most likely loss of funds. You know, like it's not worth it unless you're getting them at retail. And the only way you're doing that is at any band, I think. So I think this has some room to go up. I think it's definitely just worth picking up a play set. And we got Borsalino. So I don't think Borsalino sees a ton of play, and we've seen him come down a lot as people have moved away and moved towards Rebecca Hina builds. And we've also seen OPO2 stocked at these stores. If you're wanting Borsalino, there is also the possibility that he gets reprinted in the premium booster set. Keep in mind, it's going to be past OPO8 when we get the premium booster set. So if you, for some reason, want to play this, I think at this price, it's very solid. It's the cheapest we've seen him in an absolute long time. I overpaid for one at this point. It has been since November of last year since we've seen him around this price. I do think he gets reprinted just because it looks like they're reprinting definitely the older cards, and I think this is one of those that will be. Same thing here with Kuzan. Kuzan is sitting at around $10. He doesn't see as much play. There was just a black-yellow Luffy list built by Jellybean, I believe, on X, and he was playing for Kuzan in black-yellow Luffy for OPO8, and I get the thesis, because you play this, like, yellow law or red purple law has to remove it, and they're gonna have to waste a minus card and remove this, or else they're gonna pretty much lose any body that they play. And so it puts pressure on, and it lets you draw a card. So I 100% get that. It actually makes total sense. I like that. And I wanted to pick up some more for my Kyros deck because I play 4 of him in there. And so it might be a great time. This card could also get reprinted, but at $10 it isn't the worst. And then Kaku. You can see Kaku is just straight gone up nonstop. Lucci hype. If you want max rarity things. So I've played with Lucci. I truly think just the stage card's absurd. I think the one challenge that I was having in my testing is the counter. And so I just think that this card could be a solid pickup. Pillars of Strength. We don't see it a lot. We've been seeing the booster packs from like Hot Topic and pre-orders from Box Lunch Forever Go starting to come in. So that might help this out a little bit. But you can see some people paid $40. So it's a slippery slope up to $50 very fast. So this card could just go up, you know, off-brand Usopp. And then Hina. So again, kind of like how I talk about attention is number one asset on cards, and the value kind of shifts. So the Absolute Structure deck, Great Eruption's banned. Great Eruption was once $20. Hina has stayed at $10, and then the decks kind of are more expensive than Hina. And you get 2 Hinas per box, and then you get 2 Great Eruptions, but nothing else in that deck is of value at this point. And so the value either needs to move into Hina as everybody, again, like if you're playing a black deck, if you're playing Lucci or Gecko, you're going to be playing Hina. There are some Hina builds now for Gecko, but you're 100% going to play it because you don't have Great Eruption. So I think this card can go up. If you're planning on playing any of these, I think now is a good time to pick it up, just because, again, like that value is going to want to transfer somewhere, in my opinion, and the only place it can move is Hina, and there's going to be increased demand there. Again, Sokka players already have Hina, but if you're a Gecko and like Lucci convert, you might need this. So I highly recommend picking that up. Let's also talk about Spandam. So again, Lucci hype. You can see this card has just gone up. Pick up your rares, because again, it's an older set rare. This card is probably not going to be reprinted in the premium boosters, and everybody's going to be looking for these. Your locals still might have them in their bulk, but I'm sure that they'll dry up. And then, like, yeah, it slowly goes up to like $3. And I'm sure they'll go down, but they're going to go up as well. And I just recommend picking these up just because I get like those rares. Like you look at Izo, she's a common, or I think she's technically an uncommon, but she was like $5. So like these cards can kind of get out of hand pretty quickly. So I just recommend making sure you have your play set if you want to play him. Then let's talk Katakuri. Again, this is just a fake listing, but we're sitting at 65. So the premium booster comes with reprints. Katakuri is not confirmed. It says 8 secrets. And so the question is Katakuri going to be one of those? Because each booster box has had 2 secret rares. So we've had 6 sets released. So there's 12. 7, there's 13 if you count Bond Clay, so there's a good chance he's reprinted. But then the question is, if you have 8 in a set, is it 1 per box? If it is it like 8 per case and then some don't have it? Is the booster box going to be like extra booster 01? And then if it is just 1 per case, there's 1 Katakuri per case. And this set, OPO3, Katakuri was pulled like, I pulled so many of these guys, I just didn't know what I had when I had it. And so I think this card, I think best case, because again, you're going to want this for OPO7, and you're going to need this if you're playing an L, and we're not going to see these reprints until mid OPO8. And so by the time then, I don't even think NL is relevant. So do with that what you will. I think the card goes down once a reprint is announced, but I think anything in the 50s territory is super reasonable for him. So do with that what you will. He did go down a little bit. I mentioned it on my X account that there was about like, it was some for $55. I was like, feels like a good price because that's what I paid for some of mine. But yeah, and then of course you've got Cabbage Patch. With Cabbage Patch, I'm not really sure because Bonnie, like, the big thing is, are our players going to run away with Bonnie? Could be yes, could be no. But you do need this card to play Bonnie, because if your leader has Supernovas, which Bonnie is, and you have no other Cavendish, subject to your Dawn is active. So you play him, you can play him for 3, in essence, and then you can also regain those if they don't answer him. So it gives you extra Dawn, so you could play him, swing 7, or do whatever, or, you know, use the one for the Bonnie effect, and it's just going to guarantee that you can use Bonnie for free. So really solid card. If you want to play Bonnie, I highly recommend picking it up. Same with the alt. I think the alt can do really well. Again, my EBO1 thesis is just that nobody wants to open it. So the value has to go somewhere for people to be worth opening. And then there's also the thing, it's a side set. Is Bandai going to reprint side sets? We don't know. I know they have like a restock schedule. I honestly didn't like look at it to see if EBO1 was mentioned on there, so maybe. And if it isn't, something to consider. And then of course we're going to talk about Red Purple Law as mentioned. Red Purple Law, people argue back and forth on if you play this Ace. He is one of those older sets, so this card can definitely run away. I mean, he was before like Ace. You can already see before Law. You can see it was 6, and it's like, oh, he's popular in Law. And so if people play Ace, if the Ace variant is big, this card could see a big jump. So if you think you might play Red Purple Law, I would highly just recommend getting like 2 to 3 of these. You don't need a playset. You won't play a playset, but just so you have them instead of having to buy them for more later if you have the funds. And as always, don't spend money you don't have on trading cards. But then, of course, Queen, you absolutely need this card in every single format of Law. And so Law is dominating an OPO8. We still haven't had meaningful restocks on these decks. And so with that in mind, there is a reprint in OPO8, but it's a higher rarity. And it's one of those, like, the special rares, those textured cards. I don't know what they're technically classified as, but it's one of those. I think it's SPs, but it's one of those. Does that impact this value? Yamato did go down slightly, but this card's going to have a whole set to go up a whole set of demand a whole 3 months before that happens. And then could it get reprinted in the reprint set? Yes. But if you plan on playing Law, I would say you could maybe wait, but definitely get this before the start of the format so you can, of course, play it. And kind of see, because we've been getting some teasers from the reprints. We've been getting the teasers from the decks. We obviously know that these probably aren't going to be in there, but it could be. It could be in the Luffy deck, which would be crazy, but there is a purple Luffy deck. It only has 5 new cards, so there is the possibility. But again, that's OPO8. It's going to be an OPO8. If you want to play Law in OPO7, I highly recommend picking this up. And then, of course, Miss All Sunday. Sunday. Monster Truck Rally. This card has gone down a little bit, but this has been a star of the show. I think Jansuko also played it in his second place list here in EBO1, and it's going to be even more relevant in set 7, just because if you play this on 5 and you go to 6, then you go to 8, you get to draw 1, it replaces itself. That value is big. And so you can kind of see a solid amount of sales. I would highly, just because it's still relatively affordable, I considered picking up more of these because I should have mine from Luffy. But if you don't have this, highly recommend getting them. I could see this card being like, you know, like $10. Totally speculative, not financial advice, but I could see this card just going up there. Then, of course, we have Gordon. So Gordon hit 40, has actually come down quite a bit. Europe recently got him, which I think is part of it. A lot of people have imported them from Europe because I want to say event in February. They're like locals handed these out just because they kind of get things delayed sometimes. So you can kind of see 28 steel, 30, 35. So the problem with this is once you go into OPO8, you're going to need like 3 or 4 for sure. Like people are, you know, like you only need like 6 OPO7 so you can get away with 2, but you're definitely going to want to own more. And I think that this card sees just a giant jump from that. And now let's kind of talk about some speculative things. So I really like this at $5-6 just because this card was so close to being good. So close, because you play this and then you can add 2 cards. If they give you more 2Ks and you could play this and get 2 2Ks, this card could be absurd. And Iceberg is like so close to being good. Like if they had a rusher that was decent, that like didn't don minus, if Purple just had a rusher, it could be big. Specifically if they had like a water 7 that you could play off his ability and do rush, because you can establish strong bodies early, and Purple is just getting some like decent things. So I really just like this because it's just a speculative. I mean, $5-6, you just can't go wrong in my opinion because it's come down quite a bit. It was 8, but now it's like 5. You can probably buy these off your locals at 5's easy. I would pick up a playset. I don't think it hurts to have because again, it's a $5 alt, and again, EBO1 thesis. And of course, Wanted Kaido making his way down a little bit. Hasn't been a crazy amount of sales. He kind of spiked because we were all expecting King and Kaido to do something, but then RP Law just ran off with Maria. Kind of like I was like, this card would be great for these decks, but it sucks that this card absolutely is absurd in Law, and it's just been that. So this has kind of gone down a little bit. So I still don't think it's great. I think a lot of the hype's just going to fall off and we go back to like where we were, like 40s maybe even, because there's been some OPO3 recirculated. So we'll see. But if this was a card you want, it looks phenomenal. I absolutely love this card. If I could have 4 of these, I would, and I would just play them. And then, of course, if any kind of list hits to where it hinders like RP Law in a way that doesn't get rid of Black Maria, I really think Purple Kaido can be something, because Maria, like you play this, then you have Maria and you just get it all right back, and it's like insane. And then, of course, so like Kuzan, there's talk of Kuzan in Black Yellow Luffy, but there's not anything solid. But you can kind of see like interest has gone up a bit. He went down to about 15 and has made his way back up. Some people doing sales, not like super consistent, but they are there. And if somebody does well with this list, because again, like we kind of get the run with the meta. So like, if your opponent starves you, you play this. Then like your Luffys are a lot stronger too. The Buzz Luffy year, that KOs a 4, then it's KOing 9s. So definitely something to keep your eyes on just in case. And then, so this is, I think I'm going to buy some great Eruptions. I think I'm going to buy some Great Eruptions. Because if this card comes back, this card is big. This card is great. This card is amazing. And so every black deck is going to want to play it. It was $20. Now it is $2. Why? Because it's banned. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of people buy banned cards. And so while we haven't seen any Japanese cards come unbanned from Japanese lists like Kabachi and Bo, in the U.S., we had a ban list, and then they were removed. And during that time, Newgate became $2. $2. I bought a ton of them, and then I got rid of a ton of them at 20 when he became unbanned. And so I think there's a huge opportunity relative to the cost of entry. So there's potential for huge payoff versus like your loss. Now, I just like that. A lot of people have been doing it in, again, like TCGs like Yu-Gi-Oh! For years. They'll buy banned cards, and when they become unbanned, they go crazy. Now, I don't think that's the case for every like rare, but like a super rare that was previously expensive then becomes $2 because it's limited to one. Same thing here. It's just completely banned. And with that, it's like, okay, well, if this ever does become unbanned, there's zero reason it wouldn't be a $20 card, if not more, depending on how far down the line it's been since this deck has been available. So, I very much like this card. I think I'm going to pick up a few more. And then, of course, this Sabo. You can play him in an L. It's an alt from that deck, the Three Brothers, and a lot of those cards have become hype, but now a lot of them have just lost value, as you can see here. I still think this card is really good. So I think it's really cool. I think it looks phenomenal. I just think at $5 it's a steal. But as always, if you found this content of value, if you could do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. And as always, thank you so much for watching.